Hey everybody, welcome back. So in today's video, I thought it would be fun to go ahead and just kind of plug in the camera here, plug in the mic here, and just do a channel review with you guys. I've noticed I've gotten a lot of subscribers over the last week, so welcome to all of you, and thanks for joining the conversation. And a lot's happened over the channel over the last year, and there's a lot looking forward. So I thought it would be fun to just kind of off the cuff connect with the audience here and share with you what's going on with me and my business and this channel and the work that I'm up to, so that you know kind of what to expect from this channel and from this space, from my business in 2023. So let's go ahead and get into it here. Okay, before we go ahead and start talking about the channel and the update and all that, I just want to kind of say a few kind of personal messages really quick here. First of all, I want to wish you all a very warm, beautiful, heartfelt, happy holidays wherever you are. If you're someone who celebrates any of the holidays that kind of go along with this season, I want to just kind of extend my heart to you and wish you the best this time of year. And also, if you're someone who happens to be in one of the areas that's been hit hard by this current Arctic storm, whether that's in the US or parts of Europe that have been cold for a while now, I also just want to say, please be safe, be warm. I hope you are happy and healthy and well protected. Please don't be out on any dangerous roads. I've seen a lot of footage of accidents over the last 24 hours. And so just want to say, take care of yourselves, and I wish you the best. And I really do deeply appreciate all of you. On that note, I also want to say really quick, I've noticed, I don't know why exactly, there's been kind of a spike in subscribers to the channel over the last week. I've seen quite a significant number of you added, and I'm honored and stoked to have you all aboard for the conversation. I'm assuming this has to do with a Reddit thread where this channel got mentioned, but it may not have been that. Either way, however you came here, thank you. Thanks for your subscription to the channel. I really hope that you like the content that I'm delivering here. And if there's something you want to see from me that I can address for you or clarify for you or whatever, please do not hesitate to either email me or, leave a comment in one of the videos, that kind of a thing. But yeah, I just want to say hello and happy holidays and welcome to all of the new subs. And yeah, I'm stoked for the next year. I think there's a lot on deck here that's going to be just incredible. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about 2022 first, and then we'll talk about 2023. So I've kind of thought we would do a bit of a review of kind of the content over the last year, what I've done, what maybe some of the strengths were, what some of the weaknesses were. Then we'll talk a bit about what's coming up, because I've got a huge year ahead of me and I thought you guys should know about it. Okay, so let's talk about that. Okay, so recapping 2022 with you guys. So this has been quite a year for this business of mine, and quite a year for me personally, quite a year for this work. So I thought I would just kind of recap kind of some of the changes that have happened. Some of you may not care at all, but I thought I would just kind of, mention it and kind of, get everyone up to speed with how my work and this business and this channel have been growing. Because where I'm headed, in 2023 is going to be, I think, pretty awesome, pretty next level, at least for me. So let me see, kind of just going off the top of my head here. I have a couple notes, but one of the biggest things to mention probably with 2022 is that my business went through a name change. So kind of mid to late summer, I had a realization that I wasn't thrilled with MindKeys, which was the old name of the business. Wasn't thrilled with it as really the kind of brand that I wanted to put out there and demonstrate. And I was kind of reflecting on a bunch of different things, including kind of the different types of discourses and dialogues that are happening in the psychonaut space. Within which I noticed a very clear kind of rift. There's a very clear divide in my mind, from my point of view, in the psychonaut space between people who are highly kind of rational and logical and materialistic and science-based, and people who are very kind of spiritual and intuitive and philosophical. And, and this kind of obviously translates to differences in, worldview based on maybe personality differences, or things like a left brain or a right brain kind of dominance. But I wanted to create a space that integrates those, that really holds a cohesive message that is both deeply intuitive and philosophical and kind of feely and felt and, symbolic, and also something that was deeply clear, cogent, rational, linguistic, science-based, evidence-based, honest, intellectually honest, and really bring that all together, because I don't think that these qualities should be mutually exclusive. I don't think we should either be rational or be totally emotional and intuitive and spiritual. I think that these, in an optimally functioning human being and an optimally functioning society, I think should really all be integrated together, and that the best of what we are as human beings emerges out of this integration of the two. So I was thinking about that. I was thinking about my teachers who have really shaped the way I understand hypnosis and change work and neurolinguistic programming and a lot of the basis of what it is that I use to kind of help people. And I was also thinking, obviously, about psychedelic integration and how that's really part of the center of the bullseye for me in terms of my message to you, in terms of the work that I do with people. And so I thought that integrative psychonautics was a better brand name for a lot of different reasons. And so for all these reasons, rather. So I kind of like riffed on it and thought about it. And honestly, my unconscious mind just kind of kicked out that name. I loved it. It really did seem to tie together all of this in terms of a mission statement of what I want to do. So name change, brand change from MindKeys to Integrative Psychonautics. That was one of the biggest things that happened for the business in 2022. Let me see. I also shifted in focus in quite a few different areas here. So this would be another big change over this year for the business. So I shifted a lot from first of all, from trying to deal with microdosing to looking at more full dose experiences, less from a coaching angle, more into looking at deeper therapeutic transformational work. Also shifted in focus from teaching a little bit into really arming you with, I think, some of the more important distinctions about this work, rather than teaching you totally how to do it on its own. So I've also really shifted to talking more about my work as a coach and as a hypnotherapist, and talking about personal transformation from that point of view, and talking a lot about, I will be talking even more about my perspective on the psychedelic therapy landscape as it exists currently. Excuse me, a little burp coming up here. Pardon me. And so there's been a real big shift in focus from kind of smaller, more coachy, more educational to something a bit deeper, something a bit broader, something also a little more real and a little more solid. So that's going to continue for 2023. I can tell you for sure. Another huge change that happened for my business and for me personally both this year was my choice to, first of all, launch my group coaching program, which was something that came out of a lot of requests that I got for interactive guidance and teaching. And people were like, I want to be part of a group. I want other people to connect with around this. And I want to learn how to actually change and transform. So I kind of boiled down a bunch of, took this this huge, massive, bubble of ideas and information and perspectives and approaches and therapeutic techniques and different ideas from different schools of, personal development, and tried to boil it down to what I think is the most core essential shit you need to know if you want to do self-transformation and self-healing. And then I decided to turn that into this group coaching course, which I've been absolutely thrilled with. It's been such a beautiful experience. The group's been just fantastic. The conversations coming out of it are really beautiful and profound. And along with that, I decided to, another huge breakthrough for myself and for the business, for the channel, was to kind of reveal my identity or connect this forward-facing YouTube channel that I'm doing with the kind of conversation and engagement that I was having on Reddit in some of the psychedelic subreddits. So obviously Reddit is semi-anonymous, and so other users don't necessarily know who other users are if you don't connect any social media to what you're talking about, what you're sharing. I got on Reddit really just to kind of learn more about where people are at in terms of what they need help with healing, kind of what the common issues are with trying to understand psychedelic therapy and how to use psychedelics for healing. And the more I was on there, the more I was just compelled to start to share and communicate and give back and communicate my perspectives and my opinions, both as someone who's got a long personal history and a lot of psychedelic experiences under my belt, and as someone who has really passionately, voraciously studied all these various forms of therapy and personal development work and change work and personal transformation work. I wanted to offer that because I felt like there's a gap in the set of ideas out there and the set of understandings out there that I felt like I could really contribute to help kind of clarify for people. So, over the last couple of years, I've been on Reddit just kind of there engaging as part of the community, as someone who cares, as someone who wants to see people start to understand how to connect the dots better. And then this year I was like, you know what? Some of those people are probably going to want this coaching, the group coaching. Some of these people are probably going to appreciate my channel. And it was a little bit scary, I'll be honest. It was a little bit overwhelming and frightening and intimidating to kind of dox myself or reveal, my more public, my face, my persona, my everything, and connect that back to what I've put on Reddit. But I'm so happy I did, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people. And at the end of the day, I feel like it was really the right choice. So, but that was a huge piece of 2022 for me. Let me see, going through my notes here really quick. Right, so a couple other things here that I will address. So I had a camera update. So if you look at some of my older videos where I was maybe shooting in my living room, or obviously some of the walking and talking with a handheld with my iPhone, you will see a lower quality of camera. And I decided just to invest in a better camera. It's not great. It's not a perfect camera. I'm sure I can still level up even more, but it's pretty dang good for my purposes here. So, going forward, all the videos should look nice and clear and crisp and all that. Another big thing I want to just kind of bring to your attention and be transparent and honest with you about is that I've really struggled with audio over the last year, and I'm not entirely sure why. And to be honest, it's a little embarrassing for me personally because I come from a background of audio engineering. I come from a background of music production. Have a nice mic, I know that. And I generally know how to, compress, EQ, denoise, these kinds of things to audio. I know how to treat audio so that it sounds good. But with the new camera, the camera has a built-in microphone to it. And I have this microphone here that you see me talking through that you're hearing right now. And I've had this funny thing happen where sometimes when I'm using the app to record the video, the audio, I'm not sure if it's coming accidentally switching back to the camera's audio, or if it's something like I'm getting just kind of more noise from the room, like maybe reflections off the desk or what have you. But I've been noticing that I'll shoot a batch of videos in a day, and between the different videos that I shoot, even though the same settings are in everything, some of them will sound really bad and some of them will sound how they're supposed to sound, which is pretty good. So this is something I'm actively working on and trying to be mindful of. I thought I had it sorted out, but it's continued to be a problem. So I just want to thank you. If you've clicked on a video and the audio was less than ideal and maybe it sounded a little kind of fuzzy or cloudy or a little grainy, like a bad MP3 or something like that, I just want you to know I'm doing my best to try to get it to sound really good. So I appreciate your patience with all of that. Last thing I'll say is that in terms of my own skills as a coach, this has been a game changer of a year, and I don't use that term lightly. I learned a whole new set of approaches to helping people get transformation and healing quickly that have really shifted me from being maybe a little more structured and maybe a little more what's the word, by the book, let's say, or formulaic, maybe, into something that's much more present, much more adaptive, much more about utilizing whatever the client is saying to me or presenting to me and feeding it back to them in this much more organic way. The results have been phenomenal. And I'm so grateful to have learned what I've learned. And to be adding that into the mix here in terms of my skill set. So I personally feel that my coaching and my transformational work has really leveled up this year. And so far, my clients have been thrilled with it. Last thing I'll say, which I haven't really talked a lot about on the channel, this is something I say more one-on-one when people approach me to work with me, is that I shifted from doing an hourly rate to doing just a price, just a price for a package of work. And so that's a shift in how I've structured my business, which I think is in many ways the better way to go. I think it's a win-win for everyone. It's definitely the better way to go. So that's changed as well. So if you're considering working with me or interested in working with me, do understand that there's a lot of effort on my end, and that it's priced accordingly to that. So it's kind of, you pay up front, you pay once, and then we just get after it. So that's a big change. So 2022 has been huge. We've got changes in look, we've got changes in my coaching style, we've got changes in terms of anonymity and being more public facing, we've got changes in terms of audio and video quality, and a change in brand, a change in the identity of this business. So those are a lot of changes, and most of my subscribers, most of my viewers here have been along for the ride with that, and hardly, there's been no complaints or issues with that. So thank you for all of you for your understanding and flexibility as I kind of adapt and grow and develop this business forward into something that feels resonant and authentic and makes sense. So I think that covers 2022. So next, let's talk about 2023 and what's to come. All right, so 2023, I'm really looking forward to this year. There's a lot on the horizon here for myself in terms of education, and probably in terms of this channel and the information presented. And so let me tell you about what's coming up and what's on the plate here. And maybe talking about the channel is a great first place to start. So I will be sculpting my messaging a little bit differently moving forward into 2023. I've decided that, based on the feedback I've gotten and based on what gets engagement in terms of views and questions and these kinds of things, I'm going to do a couple things. First of all, I have to be honest with you guys and authentic that I've been kind of all over the place with my messaging in 2022. So, I have so many angles and perspectives and insights. I'm one of these people who's always kind of getting ideas and downloads and inspirations. I've always been that way. It's kind of how I'm wired. It's part of, I think, probably being just a creative type and an artist as a kind of fundamental personality. I'm always getting insights. I'm always getting ahas. And because of that, I have a huge list of different angles and perspectives and things that I noticed aren't being spoken about when it comes to kind of the messaging in the psychedelic therapy space, or understanding how to work with the medicine, or understanding the reality of the territory of working with medicine, or different, framings and angles and ways of understanding how to work with medicine. I'm saying medicine a lot here, but I hope you get my point. And so I've kind of been guilty of allowing myself to get kind of sidetracked and distracted by all the different kind of angles and things I kind of want to communicate. And I've allowed that to kind of pull me away from being really clearly focused in terms of messaging with what I think kind of the center of the message really is. Like, what's the heart of it? What are the core things that you as an audience member need to understand? What are the core things you need to understand about psychedelic therapy if you're considering getting a psychedelic therapist? What are the core things you need to understand about personal transformation, personal healing work? What are the core things you need to understand about different angles on all of this, right? And so one of the things I'm going to be doing in 2023 is really focusing my message down into something that's much more on point and coherent. I'll be totally transparent with you. There's still kind of a dance that I'm always playing with in terms of how much information to share that's going to be helpful, first of all, and relevant for you as perhaps a casual viewer. And also in terms of where's the line between, what I teach that I'm charging for, or, the one-on-one work that I'm doing with people and the messages that I share with clients versus, what I want to share more publicly and kind of freely give away. And that's still something I'm figuring out and trying to be wise about. Left to my own devices, I'm a very generous person, a very altruistic person. I care a lot about people suffering. And so I tend to want to just give it all away. But sometimes that's not wise for a couple of reasons. First of all, not everyone wants everything given away to them freely. Also, people tend not to respond well to really good information when it's given away. It's a weird thing that when you charge for information, people's engagement clicks in. Some people don't understand, the value of something that's being given freely to them, but they do understand the value if they're being charged for it or if it's in a more kind of professional context. And also, again, I want to keep the messaging clear enough and simple enough that I'm not overloading my audience. Some of you are beginners. Some of you are brand new to psychedelics. Some of you are psychedelic curious and haven't taken them yet. Some of you are very experienced. Some of you are really stuck with the trauma side of things, and that's really what you need addressed more than the psychedelic side of things. Some of you are just wanting to try to demystify psychedelic therapy and how it works. And so there's all these different angles here. And so I wouldn't want to overgive on information that's not relevant. So this is a balance I'm still kind of, feeling out and finding my way through and finding what feels appropriate. But I'm going to try to keep that more on point and less kind of frivolous things, and less maybe it just feels like I've been on a good track of really getting the major points down, and it feels kind of fun or appropriate to add another video, or unless someone has a kind of tangential question that may be kind of slightly off the beaten path from the center of the information, but still perhaps interesting or useful. So it's not a hard cutting of all that other information, but it is kind of a honing and a focusing. Let me see. What else do I want to say about the information here? I will be also getting more real on this channel. So I've kind of been skirting around some strong opinions that I have about certain aspects of psychedelic therapy, some opinions that I have, critical takes that I have. This is always kind of an interesting thing when you're speaking publicly, is airing out critical opinions and when it's constructive and when it's useful versus when it isn't. Opinions I might have about certain approaches to therapy, or certain, retreats, or certain, pieces of information, ideas I see floating around the psychedelic therapy world. There's a lot I could address that I haven't been. And so this year, I'm going to be kind of steering myself into leaning into taking a stronger stand on certain issues, being more clear, being maybe a little more polarizing in the sense of really giving my opinion. And maybe you don't resonate with it, and maybe you don't like my point of view, and maybe that turns some of you off. But at least I'm being clear and authentic with you. I feel like there are some major missing pieces in the psychedelic therapy world in terms of the messaging. And I also feel like there's a lot of kind of audience disservice out there in terms of kind of implying certain things that may not be accurate of the territory of taking psychedelics and healing with psychedelics. So I want to offer my own 2 cents into that for your benefit, and also probably for my own benefit in a sense of so that I have a clear conscience as well. So that's something you can expect from the channel, is maybe more solid, strong, opinionated, clear, well-articulated ideas, and less of these kind of tangential pieces, because, I don't know that it helps you to just hear all these little riffs that I have. Okay, what else? Right. So here's another thing. There is kind of a new not quite a modality. I wouldn't take it that far, but let's just say a new perspective, a new approach that I'm starting to realize is, again, absent, missing, and necessary and highly helpful, that isn't out there in the personal development space or the therapy space, or when it comes to personal transformation and healing. There's a perspective that I'm starting to take that I just find myself intuitively kind of leaning into, and it's just seems to be suggesting itself as an avenue to go down, and as in terms of how I conduct my own work. And I want to start communicating that particular perspective to you. So there will be more communication around a particular approach to this work, which may or may not resonate for some of you. That I think is important and useful. And spoiler alert, it shouldn't be controversial. It's funny how this often is, but spoiler alert, it's about how to lean into positive experiences first and develop your capacity and stretch your ability to feel good before leaning into doing the heavy trauma work and the heavy, sad, painful transformational work. The long and the short of it is that my opinion and my perspective and my view is most people out there are really bad at feeling good and really good at feeling bad. And this obviously comes into play when we're talking about healing our own issues. And what most people therefore obviously need is more support and strength around accessing feeling good first in order to feel safe enough to do the healing work. This is a huge missing piece. And also, it's kind of more fun to access positive emotions and positive states and use those as tools for transformation than it is to just like dive headlong with, into all your grief and your sorrow and your trauma and, your years of unprocessed whatever. It's like, it's seems like more balanced to work to me. So this is another thing I'll be talking about more is this kind of new approach that I'm developing, and kind of that'll probably be formalized into a course and to not only a set of understandings, but a set of tools and techniques as well. So you can probably expect to hear more about that beginning in 2023. Some other stuff. So that's all about the channel and the messaging and all that. Let's talk about what I'm up to this year, what I'm going to be doing. So 2023 for me has got 3 major milestones on the horizon. And I want to be honest here. I'm definitely someone who can bite off sometimes more than I can chew. I can be overly ambitious when it comes to learning and developing and growth. So I'm going to share with you my intentions, my goals of what I want to achieve this year. I don't know. We'll see at the end of the year whether or not I actually accomplish them. But I thought I would at least kind of give you guys a heads up because it will impact what I'm communicating and, how I'm, leading information and how I'm working with people and all of this. So the 3 big things coming up here. So the first one is I'm going to be doing an underground guide training. So up to this point, I am, I've TripSat people. I am skilled enough because I know plenty about therapeutic healing and how to support people and attachment and trauma and all this kind of stuff. I'm skilled enough to guide, but I don't do guide work currently. Part of that is that I want to just make sure that I have all the bases covered, that I really know, and that I've had, elders kind of sign off on my skill set before I'm really offering that. Part of that is, of course, the kind of the in-betweenness and the questionable legality of guide work and how to navigate that properly. But for my own knowledge, for my own kind of wholeness of skill set, I've decided to lean into an offering that came up for me to study with a very, very well-reputed, well-educated, very skilled underground guide and learn how to do guide work. So one of the big things that's coming up for me in 2023 is going to be not only receiving a bunch of guided therapeutic sessions myself, but also to be learning how to do this more properly. So that might be something that I offer in the future or may not. We'll see. But it's certainly something that I will be learning so that my skill set is more well-rounded, my understanding is more well-rounded. And so I'm really excited about that. There's going to be some incredible experiences on my plate. And that's a year-long training. So for all of 2023, I will be going through regular processes of, getting psychedelic therapy myself, getting guided sessions myself, and learning how to lead, learning how to do this. So that's huge. Another huge one on the plate is that I will be learning how to do somatic attachment work, somatic therapy. So I'm really happy with my hypnosis skills. I'm really happy with my NLP skills. I'm really happy with my coaching skills. And I want to just kind of expand that skill set. And so I've decided to get certified in doing somatic therapy work. So this is something I'll be leaning into a lot. I expect that as I learn more about somatic approaches, that might filter into what I communicate on the channel and some ideas or techniques or things that I might end up teaching you guys. So you might see a little shift in the way that I communicate what I'm communicating or the techniques or tools that I teach over the next year as I start to play around more and kind of unpack and integrate my own learnings from somatic therapy work. So super excited about that. I do think that somatic therapy is not only some of the more robust therapy we have for trauma work and kind of the deeper end of issues, the harder, more stuck end of issues. I also think somatic work is really highly compatible with psychedelics and just makes a lot of sense to have in the toolkit when it comes to working with psychedelics. Because a lot of times when we're on a psychedelic, let's be honest, we're not really having just a cognitive mental experience. We're having a somatic experience. We're having a body experience. We're having a felt experience. We're having all kinds of sensations happen with the body, and learning how to communicate, work with that, support, and serve that is, it just makes sense to me. So that's another huge piece. The other huge piece, and who knows, this is a maybe more than a hard yes, but I would really like to do it, is that there is the MAPS convention in Denver in the summer of 2023. It's my intention to be there to network, to connect with other professionals, to learn, to just kind of get more connected in with the community. So I'm really excited about that. Again, this might be taking on a lot because my trainings are going to be on the West Coast. So I'll be traveling a lot. I'll be training a lot. Obviously I'll be working with people, potentially teaching. I'm not sure. My group wraps up in February, so I don't know if I'll continue that throughout the rest of the year or not yet. But I've got all the stuff already going on, and then adding in this conference. So hopefully I'll be there, and hopefully, maybe you will too. And maybe we can talk. Maybe we can have a face-to-face and connect about any of the stuff that I've talked about on the channel here. I will say, just in terms of my own relationship to the psychedelic therapy community, I already know quite a few underground practitioners. I've been plugged into that world for a long time. But I've really kind of, as I've kind of leaned in my own coaching career, really kind of unplugged from a lot of those friendships and spent a lot more time by myself, just focusing on my business, focusing on YouTube, focusing on my website, and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So I'm really looking forward to this as an opportunity to kind of shift gears a little bit and get out there and be social and really connect the dots. Like I've said on the channel a bunch of times, and I don't mean this in a hyperbolic kind of grandiose sense. I really do feel that my perspective and a bunch of the things that, a bunch of the traditions and the sets of ideas that I'm coming from in terms of being someone who works with psychedelics in the psychedelic space are unique. A lot of the information that I carry is very different from your kind of generic, psychedelic therapy practitioners or people who are trained, or even just your generic therapists. I don't come from a traditional therapy background. I'm not a licensed therapist, and I'm not a shaman, and I'm not coming from a shamanic background either. And so that'll be fun. Hopefully, who knows, but hopefully we'll see. This could end up being like some really fun conversations with people who might be a little more traditionally trained, and we can kind of have some fun back and forths, or just network or what have you. I'm really looking forward to connecting with the community in Denver. And so, yeah, that's also on the plate. I'm trying to think, is there anything else for 2023? I don't think so. That's huge. A full year training, a convention that's going to be important for the entire industry. and a training, 2 trainings, because I'm also doing one in somatic therapy, plus a focusing. And, who knows, maybe I was intending to get my kind of flagship course up, my video course up, because there's a lot of demand for that this winter. So far it hasn't happened, but that might be another thing that I try to squeeze in if I can over the next year, would be a video course on how to really leverage psychedelics for personal transformation work. So I think that covers it. Thanks for watching. If you've watched this video, I realize it's not for everyone. It's kind of a long channel update here, but I just want to share with you guys and wish you a happy holiday, and send you love from my little corner of the world. And once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of the conversation. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be connected with you guys. And I'm looking forward to 2023. I think there's going to be a lot of magic in store. So without further ado, I'll quit rambling and let's call it good. All right. Take care, guys. Happy holidays. And I'll see you soon.